Hey guys, I just wanted to get on here a little bit and go through some building tips maybe on how to make these little flexible snap plates out of your 2-inch polypropylene or nylon strap. I know a lot of guys who want to try to make this kind of stuff out of Velcro, which is okay, but once you have a fixed length in mind and you don't really need the adjustability of Velcro, this is a really better way in my mind to make it stay without having to loosen it up and come undone and some other things like that. I prefer this is a better system. So this is a shoulder bell that there we go, my shoulder bell, and it's got a buckle attachment up here that goes to my flight suit, and this is the lower pad armor, the bicep that goes on here, and it attaches with those snaps. So what I want to kind of go over is how to make this, and then also about a little bit about how to do these. I like to do them in doubles with a 2-inch material. They're very solid that way and tend to work out better for me. So one thing that you're going to want to try to make, because you're going to have to make several of these for the chest and some other areas throughout the costume. And if you like this idea, you might want to try some other costumes that utilize this material. But one thing that I like to try to do is when you put these in here, I like to basically burn or singe a hole where those go, instead of using like a leather punch or some other type of thing to put a hole in there. And so what you're going to want to use is a template or a jig, basically. Look, my grandkids got a hold of this one and decorated it all up for me. But you're going to want to have a jig like this that you can put your material in, and it goes in here kind of like so. And then you have a spot where you can basically burn or singe your holes in here, and they'll be the same every time. You can use it for both the male ends and the female ends. The other benefit is when you do doubles like this, you're going to have the exact same hole location on both pieces, so that you don't have one that's just maybe a few millimeters wider or narrower. I mean, if you do them individually like that, you're not going to get them the same, and that really ends up being a pain. So when you do this right, you should have another piece that you're going to attach there to these. And if you use that jig system, you're going to have where they go right in the same spot every time, and they're right over each other, and they've lined up just perfectly like that. So that's how you attach those to the flex plate, just like so. So I have a few other questions about how I glue these on here. What do I put them on there with? I have tried using CA or super glue before, but I find that it kind of tends to get brittle and they come off that way. So I like to use this stuff, E6000. Just get the regular clear, and you just basically load up that side of that plate with material, with the glue, and just put it on there, press it down, and get it to really kind of impregnate into the fibers of the material. And you can just sort of clean wipe up the edges of that, and you really want to have it get all the way down to the edges. And then find that once you put that in place, you press that down, it adapts to even a compound curve like a shoulder bell or whatever it may be, and it stays in place really well. I haven't had any of these come out before. You can take them out and change them if you want to. It requires a little bit of work, but I think that this is a much better system than using CA. You can also use these on your little loops of material. If you're going to use like a buckle like this I attach to my flight suit for the shoulder bell, and this really works well, where you find out exactly where that needs to go and then put that in place once you've measured that, um, and put it in place like that. So I'm going to go ahead and make one of those little snap plates, and I want to show you how I use my jig to do that. Let me first talk about how to make this. This is just, I made this out of some 1/4-inch plywood and then just glued on some little 1/4-inch pieces of poplar, or maybe this is balsa, and made a little edge around it like that. My holes that I like to use on 2-inch material, this comes in here, and my holes are 28 millimeters from center to center. I use about a 5 millimeter hole, or that's about 3/16 of an inch hole to put into the wood. And then it's about 14 millimeters from the edge of the material to the center line of the hole. So this is about 14 millimeters here. When I put those in place, it'll be far enough from the edge that it won't fray this out, and it'll be a good spot for those to be there. So I'm gonna just put this over the top here, and I used to use a good pair of shears. Come in and cut that. And when you cut this, your nylon or your polypropylene material, you should be using a lighter and get the edges good and sealed on these. That way they're not going to fray on you. And there you've got it nice. I've already done the other side, so you've got a nice about 2-inch square snap plate here. Let me go over to the stove, and I want to show you how I put these holes in there. Okay, so you can use different heat sources for this. The thing that I've used over the past couple of years, and this is like an old skewer for like a rotisserie for on a grill that I think went bad or something, and I just saved this piece. And it's basically, you could use like a nail maybe if it's long enough, or maybe get a piece of music wire that you want to kind of sharpen the edge of it on. And this is, I don't know, probably about 2 millimeters in width, maybe 2.5 millimeters, roughly. And so what you're going to do is basically, I used to use the stove because it's right here and it's easy to work. And I just turn it on high and get this pretty hot, put this down here right close to the points on the blue flame. You could use like a propane torch or a butane torch to get this pretty hot. You don't have to get it red hot at all, and just anything that is going to come in here and singe this material and do the work for you. And it's easier if you kind of put little marks on your thing approximately where that hole is going to be. That way you can see it. And you line it up and you just press it right through, and you just kind of go up and down there a time or two, and there's your hole. Okay, I'm going to do that one more time here. So we're just going to get that hot again. I usually can only do about one hole at a time when I heat these. Okay, and there's my piece with my 2 holes ready to put a snap in. Okay, put in a couple of snaps on this, and I like to use for the plate part of it, I like to use the male end, and then on the item that I'm putting onto the plate, I use the female end. So we're going to go ahead and put these through our hole, and if you use that just about the same dimensions that I have, that easily goes through that fabric and gets into place right where we need it to go. So there's our 2. And we're only going to do one of these at a time. And of course you're going to need a snap set. And that's just basically an item that's going to go over the top of that. And I've got my trusty little hammer here, and we're going to tap that down about 2 or 3 times. And I like to set them to where they basically won't turn. Okay. And we're going to set this again over the top of that one. And nice and set. Those look nice and solid. And there's our snap plate ready to go. Okay, so we're back inside now, and yeah, this is the back side of our new snap plate that we just made. And this is where we're gonna basically just apply our E6000 in a kind of a back and forth pattern all over everything. The back of this very liberal amount of glue there. You'll kind of learn which is enough, because when you put it on there, you want to have enough that you really feel it squish behind there. You might have some that comes out around the outside. So if you do it right, you'll have pretty minimal come out around the outside, and you'll have just enough to keep that in place. And then this really is something that gets to adapt to, you know, kind of curved surfaces really well, so it stays in place nice. Well, why don't I put these here in the middle? I don't know. I guess I've done it this way, and if I feel like, you know, if you've got this against tension from this side, you want to have as much on the other side of those as you can. So just it's a little more stronger than if they were in the middle and you were pulling and you just it's not quite the same. So anyway, it's just my preference, and I think it works better for me.